Imagine you've worked your entire life. You've done your part, you've paid your dues. And then, when it's finally time to retire, the money you were promised, it's just not there. Now, this isn't some made-up story. For a lot of people in Nigeria's Bauchi State, it's a harsh reality. Today, we're going to dig into the 2024 Auditor-General's report to see exactly how missing paperwork leads to millions of missing dollars and what that really means for the people left holding the bag.
I am still waiting for what is mine. Just let those words sink in. That's from Adamu Ibrahim, a retiree in Bauchi State. And you know, his story isn't just about a payment that's late. It's a powerful reminder that behind all the financial reports, behind every missing document, there are actual human beings whose lives are being turned upside down. This is the real cost of a broken system.
So, to really get a grip on just how big this problem is, we've got to start with the people who are living with it every single day. Their stories, well, they're the whole reason this investigation matters. And honestly, they paint a pretty rough picture of neglect.
Let's meet Danjuma Babaji and Adamu Ibrahim. For Danjuma, retirement has been a 9-month nightmare, just waiting for his pension to start. And that 3.7 million naira gratuity he's owed, it's still just a promise on a piece of paper. Then there's Adamu. He retired all the way back in 2017 and is now completely dependent on his children for food and medicine. Their stories, they're just a massive indictment of a system where public money seems to vanish, leaving the most vulnerable people with absolutely nothing.
Okay, so hearing stories like Danjuma's and Adamu's, you have to ask, how does this even happen? How can millions of naira just disappear? Well, the answer isn't something that sounds kind of boring, but is actually incredibly important: the paper trail. So let's take a look at how this is all supposed to work and then where it's all going so terribly wrong.
At the very heart of this mess is a document called a payment voucher. Really, you can just think of it like a receipt you get from a store. It's the proof. It's the evidence that a transaction actually happened and that the money went to the right place. In government spending, these vouchers are everything for accountability. Without them, there's just no way to know if money was spent legally or if it was even spent on what they said it was.
Now, in a perfect world, the system is designed to be pretty much foolproof. It's this clear 4-step process. Every single transaction is supposed to be documented, checked, and verified. From the first request for money to the final signed receipt, each step is like a link in a chain of accountability. But what happens when that chain breaks?
And that question right there gets us to the absolute core of the problem. What happens when the very paper trail that's meant to protect public money just vanishes? This is the shocking reality that the Auditor General's report brings to light, and it's where things start to get really dark.
All right, so now let's follow the money. Or maybe more accurately, let's follow the trail of the missing money. The 2024 audit report gives us a pretty detailed map of where this whole system has failed. And believe me, the numbers are just staggering.
The auditor's findings are a total bombshell. And look, we're not talking about small accounting mistakes here. We are talking about hundreds of millions of naira of public money spent with no paper trail, zero accountability, and absolutely no way of knowing where that money actually ended up.
So let's start with the Office of the Chief of Staff. This one office spent over 500 million naira. That's more than 549 million without any of the proper approvals or documents. To give you some perspective, that's enough cash to pay the salaries of thousands of teachers for a year. And get this, that's just the tip of the iceberg.
And it doesn't stop there. The Ministry of Housing and Environment is another black hole for money. Over 565 million naira was paid out without a single receipt to prove the money got where it was supposed to go. It's like the money just evaporated into thin air.
You think it can't get worse? It does. The Ministry of Health paid out over 167 million naira for what the audit calls unentitled salaries and allowances. Now, this isn't just sloppy bookkeeping. This is a direct violation of public finance rules. It means people were getting paid money they had no right to, while vital public services were being starved for cash. As you can see from this table, there is a seriously disturbing pattern here. It's not just one or two rogue departments. This is a systemic failure right across the board. From the Pension Board to the Ministry of Education, it's the same story. Millions and millions of naira just disappearing without a trace. This isn't about a few bad apples anymore. It's about a rotten system.
The numbers are shocking, yeah, but they really only tell us part of the story. The real question is, how could a system fail so completely? Well, the audit report points to some deep structural problems that have basically allowed this culture of anything goes to grow and spread. Okay,
And this is where the story takes a truly wild and ironic twist. The man in charge of the office with some of the absolute worst financial violations, that's Dr. Aminu Gamawa. He's a Harvard-educated lawyer, an expert on governance, and someone who has spoken out publicly in favor of transparency. The massive gap between what he says and what happened in his office, well, it's a perfect symbol of the hypocrisy at the heart of this whole crisis.
You know, in a working democracy, you're supposed to have a legislature that acts as a watchdog, right? They're the ones who are meant to hold the government accountable for its spending. But in Bauchi State, it seems like that watchdog has been completely declawed. As a former lawmaker, Aminu Tukor puts it, the legislature has become nothing more than a mere rubber stamp, more interested in its own perks than in protecting public money. And that creates a power vacuum where corruption can just run wild.
And this right here really hits the nail on the head. An audit report is only useful if it leads to action. But in Bauchi State, it seems like these reports are just destined to collect dust on a shelf. As soon Justin O of the Young Leaders Network points out, there are no consequences for breaking the rules. And that creates this vicious cycle of impunity, where a lack of accountability just leads to more corruption. So the real question is, what's it going to take to finally break that cycle? And if you think this is a new problem, think again. This cycle of corruption is nothing new. The 2024 audit is really just the latest chapter in a very long story of deep-rooted financial mismanagement in Bauchi State.
I mean, the history here is long and it's not pretty. Investigative reports have, time and time again, uncovered a pattern of just reckless overspending by the Office of the Secretary to the state government. We are talking about billions of naira being spent with almost no oversight, all while retirees like Danjuma and Adumu are left to suffer.
So why is this 2024 Auditor General's report such a game changer? Well, it's not just another news story. This is the government's own admission that there is a massive problem. It's an official confirmation of what so many people have suspected for years, that there is a deep-rooted culture of corruption and a total breakdown of financial controls in Bauchi State.
And so we come full circle, right back to the human cost of all this. When billions of naira just vanish without a trace, it's not just about numbers on a spreadsheet. It's about lives being ruined. It's about promises being shattered. It's about a future being stolen. The stories of Adamu Ibrahim and Danjuma Babaji are a powerful reminder that we just can't afford to look away. The real question is, what is anyone going to do about it?